Chris Paul is well established as one of the league's superstars and top point guards, but after 6 seasons in New Orleans, Paul expressed his intentions on signing somewhere else as a top free agent after this season. So New Orleans decided to trade Paul right away to ensure they wouldn't lose him for nothing. In a 3-team deal, Chris Paul was traded to one of his preferred destinations, the Los Angeles Lakers. Now teamed up with superstar Kobe Bryant, Paul had a real shot of winning championships for the foreseeable future. The Lakers started the shortened season living up to expectations. Paul's impact alongside Kobe Bryant was immediate, and the duo shared the same tenacity for winning and excellence on both sides of the ball. Kobe now has someone in Paul who could essentially run the entire offense, while Kobe could focus on scoring and closing out games. Paul averaged 19 points per game and 11 assists per game, and the Lakers were clearly one of the best teams in the league, finishing 48-18, second in the West. Chris Paul was eager to go farther in the playoffs than he ever had. After breezing through the Utah Jazz, knocking off the up-and-coming Oklahoma City Thunder, and overcoming the arch-rival San Antonio Spurs, Paul and the Lakers were in the finals. Their opponent in the finals will be the Miami Heat, setting up the dream finals matchup of LeBron versus Kobe. The big three of the Miami Heat would set the tone with the Game 1 win, then Kobe and Paul willed the Lakers to a close win in Game 2. As the series shifted to Miami, the matchup seemed to be fairly even, but the Lakers had an X-factor in center Andrew Bynum. The Heat had difficulty dealing with Bynum down low, and he put up a dominating performance in the Game 3 win. Even though the Heat rallied to come from behind to steal Game 4, Bynum was once again key to winning Game 5, taking a 3-2 lead going back to LA. The Miami Heat made adjustments to go smaller to force the Laker bigs to defend the perimeter more and focus on slowing down Kobe and Paul. Miami would cruise to a win in Game 6 as Miami's offense opened up and Bynum started to get fatigued. In Game 7, Kobe Bryant did his best to keep up with Miami's big three by himself since Chris Paul and Andrew Bynum were both struggling. Kobe would have the chance to tie the game and go into overtime, but missed the three at the buzzer, and the Miami Heat would become champions. It was tough for Paul to have the championship slip right through his hands, but if he was able to accomplish this much in year 1, there was no reason he couldn't keep the momentum going. LA went to work, first signing Chris Paul to a 5-year max contract. Then LA seized the opportunity to trade scapegoated center Andrew Bynum for superstar center Dwight Howard, which they felt was an upgrade. The Lakers were now loaded with a new big three. Optimism and expectations in LA rightfully went through the roof, but they didn't look as dominant as everyone expected right away. Dwight Howard was used to the offense revolving around him, so adjusting to running pick and rolls with Chris Paul and watching Kobe Bryant dominate the ball was a challenge. Plus, Howard's laid-back attitude didn't mesh well with Kobe Bryant and Chris Paul, as they felt Howard didn't take the game seriously enough. Howard's game was also suffering some since he was dealing with season-long back injuries, which didn't help chemistry either. Despite all the challenges, the collection of superstar talent still made the Lakers the team to beat out West, and the Lakers' sights were still set on a rematch with the Heat. That was until Kobe Bryant would go down, suffering a season-ending Achilles injury in a game just weeks before the start of the playoffs. The Lakers would ultimately finish third in the West with a 56-26 record, but this drastically changed the Lakers' outlook going into the playoffs. It was Chris Paul's time to step up, and he certainly did so in the first round. The duo of Paul and Howard did enough to get past the Golden State Warriors 4-2. The second round against the San Antonio Spurs was a different story. The Spurs were experienced, disciplined, and motivated from losing to the Lakers in last year's Western Conference Finals. It was just too much for Chris Paul to deal with on his own without Kobe Bryant, and with Dwight Howard less than 100%. The Spurs crushed the Lakers 4-1. Kobe Bryant's injury continued to have a massive impact on LA's summer as it centered around his health and return. LA's other priority was trying to get free agent center Dwight Howard to re-sign and build around him for the future. But Howard wanted no part of another season with Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant on his back, choosing to leave LA and sign a max deal with the Houston Rockets. This left Chris Paul wondering what management planned to do. The Lakers' championship outlook was starting to be suspect. LA's response was signing versatile forward Josh Smith, who figured to work well in the pick-and-roll offense with Paul, even though this was clearly a Plan B free agent signing. Chris Paul went into the season doing his best to hold it down for the Lakers until Kobe Bryant's return, but the wins were harder to come by. Josh Smith's game was okay, but he was not a championship-level co-star. Kobe Bryant would make his much-anticipated return in December, but after only 6 games, he would suffer a knee injury and be forced to miss the rest of the season. Paul kept playing hard, but he was disgruntled knowing that this was probably a wasted year. Paul would suffer a shoulder injury in January that would keep him out at least a month, but as the Lakers started to fall out of playoff contention, Paul opted to have surgery and missed the rest of the season. The Lakers finished with a 31-51 record, missing the playoffs, bottoming out after making the finals just 2 seasons ago. Chris Paul was struggling to accept that the Lakers were no longer contenders and urged LA to figure something out. The Lakers were cap strong and had no room to really make any significant moves, but then the franchise got a stroke of luck that could potentially breathe some life into their flexibility. Even with unfavorable odds, the Los Angeles Lakers won the draft lottery, giving them the first overall pick in the upcoming draft. The general consensus for the number 1 pick was Kansas small forward Andrew Wiggins, who was the most league-ready player in the draft, but Kobe Bryant would eventually be ready to come back, and both Kobe and Paul felt no rookie would help them win a title right now. So LA turned their attention to disgruntled Minnesota Timberwolves all-star Kevin Love, who made it clear that he wanted out of Minnesota. So the Lakers drafted Andrew Wiggins with the first overall pick, then traded him in a package along with Josh Smith to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Kevin Love. The Lakers transformed back into a potential contender with a new Big Three. The Lakers started off the season with promise. Kevin Love seamlessly adjusted to his role, and he was great in the pick and roll with Chris Paul, and he spaced the floor enough to allow a now healthy Kobe Bryant to operate. Kobe Bryant started out resembling the superstar the team needed, but as the season went along, it was clear he needed his minutes managed to be ready for the playoffs. But in January, Kobe Bryant would suffer a season-ending shoulder injury, so that left Chris Paul and Kevin Love to lead the Lakers the rest of the way, which they did well, ending with the 56-26 record, finishing 6th in the West. Even without Kobe, Paul and the Lakers felt good about their chances. Their first-round matchup was against the San Antonio Spurs, which seemed like a winnable series, but as the Lakers were on their way to a Game 1 victory, Kevin Love got his arm tangled up and separated his shoulder, which would keep him out for the remainder of the playoffs. Chris Paul's dejection was instant, and he once again had to try to carry the Lakers all by himself against the Spurs. And like before, he was unable to, as the Spurs jumped all over the wounded Lakers to eliminate them 4-1. Despite another early playoff exit, the Lakers showed what they were capable of if everyone could stay healthy. Chris Paul came back refreshed and ready to make another run, knowing Kobe Bryant and Kevin Love were well recovered from their injuries. Paul still maintained his all-star level play and leadership, and Kevin Love started to increase his responsibilities as a scorer to complement Paul. Kobe Bryant played more of a secondary role, playing slightly less minutes and scoring less, but took over in close games when necessary. The formula was working, and everyone stayed relatively healthy the entire season. The Lakers paced themselves to a 52-28 record, finishing 4th in the West. In their first-round matchup against the Portland Trail Blazers, the Lakers seemed to be putting it all together, taking a commanding 3-0 series lead, but late in a close Game 4, Chris Paul would suffer a broken hand and would be ruled out indefinitely for the remainder of the playoffs. The Lakers would go on to sweep the Trail Blazers, but once again, the Lakers were advancing less than full strength. The Lakers would be extreme underdogs in the second round against the defending Western Conference champion Golden State Warriors, but Kobe Bryant felt like he could do the unthinkable. Kobe left it all out on the floor. The Lakers would somehow keep pace with the Warriors, which included dropping a historic 61 points to win Game 4 and tie the series at 2 games apiece. But ultimately, the Warriors just had too much firepower and would beat the Lakers in the next 2 games to win the series. By this point, Chris Paul knew his window to win a championship with the Lakers was closing and felt like LA needed to retool with younger talent. However, with Kobe Bryant inspired by his performance against the Warriors, he decided against retirement and wanted to keep playing. LA, loyal to Kobe, chose to re-sign him to another 2-year max contract. This infuriated Paul, and he openly began to question the decision-making of the front office. Kobe, surprised by Paul's comments, snapped back, creating a rift between the Lakers stars. Chris Paul took it a step further, letting it be known that he probably wouldn't re-sign with the Lakers after this season. LA made the choice to stick by Kobe Bryant instead of retooling around Paul and promptly traded Chris Paul to the Houston Rockets. Now teamed up with James Harden in Houston, Chris Paul continued his title chase, elevating the Rockets to championship contention. But despite great regular seasons, Paul, for one reason or another, just couldn't get back to the finals. After falling out in Houston, it appeared Chris Paul's title hopes were fading fast. But Chris Paul still plays at an all-star level, maintaining his reputation as an elite point guard that can potentially get a team over the hump. Paul continues to align himself with championship contenders, seeking that elusive championship title. Once again, appreciate y'all tuning in. Feel free to subscribe, like, comment, and all that good stuff, man. We're going to keep it rolling with another episode next week of the Alternate Sports Planet. See y'all soon.